Thanks for choosing Synovision CT product. The following contents will be introduced in this video. CT system composition. Requirements for scan room environment. Startup. Control and use of gantry and patient table. Use of CT box and shutdown steps. The CT system consists of the gantry, the patient table and the power adapter. These components are usually placed in the scanning room. In the operating room, we can see the CT operation console, the LED display screen, the CT box, keyboard and mouse. We can see that there is a prominent green button on the CT operation console. This is the main switch to turn on the CT system. The CT system has high environmental requirements. The image quality will be significantly reduced or even might not be used for diagnosis with inappropriate environment. The recommended ambient temperature is 22 to 25 degrees centigrade and the optimum. Humidity should be maintained between 40 to 60%. It is required to install an air conditioner and maintain a constant temperature. Hospitals located in certain areas should pay attention to dehumidification and humidification. It is recommended to prepare a hygrometer to monitor the scan room environment at any time. In case of a power failure or a complete power outage of the CT lasting for more than half an hour, it is recommended to make appointments 2 hours after the power is turned on. It is recommended to shut down the CT once a day. Note that it can only be turned on again 3 minutes after turning off the machine. Turning on the CT is very simple. Press the green button on the CT operation console. The green button will light up. This is CT gantry. There is a display panel directly above the front of the gantry and a control panel on each side of it. Some models have a back-mounted wire control box on both sides of the back of the gantry. The buttons on it are used to control movement of the patient table and gantry. Now we are going to introduce the functions of these buttons one by one. These 4 direction buttons can be used to control the patient table. For example, to move the table up and down, forward and backward. The one in the middle is the accelerate button. If the table in out button and the accelerate button are pressed at the same time, the forward or backward movement of the table will be accelerated. Below the direction buttons, we can see 3 quick positioning buttons marked with number 1, 2 and 3, and the other one is a 1-key exit button. Press the quick positioning button for about 3 seconds and then release. The scanning table will automatically move to the preset position. During the movement of the scanning table, the selected button will keep flashing. If you need to stop the movement of the table, press this button at any time. The table will stop moving. If you need to continue moving the bed, press this button again for 3 seconds and then release it. So how do you set these preset position buttons? After we move the table to a certain position, we can see the corresponding table height and depth position on the gantry display panel. If we want to set this position to the preset position button 1, we should first press the accelerate button and then press the preset position button 1. You can see the 2 buttons blinking briefly. At this point the shortcut button 1 has been successfully set. This is the positioning light on/off button. You can see the inner and outer positioning planes. The inner laser plane is the scanning plane, and the outer laser plane is the auxiliary positioning plane. Usually we use the internal laser to position a patient. Note that sometimes the laser lights may need a few seconds to light up when you press this button. Please wait patiently and do not press the button repeatedly. After the inner line is placed, you can start scanning directly. Usually it does not require to clear the table position. The information displayed on the liquid crystal display panel above the gantry includes exposure status and exposure countdown. During exposure, it is displayed in orange. The remaining time of exposure and the countdown of delayed scanning are both showed on the screen. Table location information, table height and depth can be showed in real time. Patient information and body position selection are displayed in the middle area. Below is the gantry status and information prompts. From left to right are gantry interference status, laser light status, table board floating status, emergency stop switch status, and current time display. If the corresponding status of the current gantry is not activated, it will be displayed in gray. If it is activated, for example, when the laser light is turned on, the laser light status icon will turn blue and flash. A red button can be found on both sides of the gantry. There are also two in the back. A same red button can be seen on the CT box as well. These are emergency stop switches. Note that emergency stop switches should not be used in non-spical circumstances. In case of special circumstances, for example, an imminent collision occurred during the movement of the patient table. In such situation, press the emergency stop switch immediately to end the scanning and the movement of the gantry and the patient table. The recovery operation should be only applied on the press down emergency stop switch. Rotate clockwise according to the direction of the arrow on the switch. The switch pops back up and the gantry resumes power. The recovery process takes 30 seconds. Again, try not to use emergency stop switches in any non-special circumstances. If you find that the CT cannot be operated normally after the startup, please check all emergency stop switches on the gantry and CT box first for errors or omissions. This is the patient table for carrying a patient and can support body weights up to 210 kilograms. The movement of the patient table is controlled by the direction buttons on the control panel, and the specific position is displayed on the screen above the gantry. At this time, the table is at the farthest position from the gantry, which is the initial position. We can see the horizontal position is 0 and the vertical position is 239. As the table moves, the numbers will be changed constantly. There are two yellow buttons on both sides of the table, which are the cradle release button. Under normal circumstances, the cradle on the table cannot be moved manually. When one of the cradle release buttons is pressed, the cradle will be unlocked from the table and floats freely. Manually, the cradle can be pulled out of the gantry horizontally. Press the button again to lock the cradle again. Note: do not use the cradle release buttons unless under special circumstances. If the machine cannot be operated normally after the startup, please check the cradle release buttons first for errors or omissions. If any of the buttons is pressed, the table floating status icon can be seen in red on the gantry display panel. The CT control box is used for compartment mechanical and exposure control during scanning inspection. There are various control buttons and volume adjustment sliders on it. First is the one key positioning button. Select and keep pressing the button at the corresponding position. The scanning table will move to the set position. If you want to stop the moving scanning table, just release the button. The sliders can be used to control the volume. From left to right are the volume of the operator speaking to the patient in the operating room, the volume of the operator listening to the patient in the scanning room, and the volume of the automatic voice. Push the slider to the top for the highest volume, and the bottom for muting. Intercom button. When the operator needs to speak to the patient, he needs to press this key to speak. Please note that the intercom microphone is located at this position of the CT box. Here is the exposure status display icon. Once X-rays are emitted, the icon will turn orange. Buttons on the right side includes emergency stop button. Do not press unless in emergency situation. In routine work, the common function buttons include move button, exposure button, abort button, and preset position shortcut buttons. Click the system shutdown icon in the lower left corner of the screen. If you choose to reboot the application will automatically restart in 10 seconds. If you need to shut down the system, it is recommended to check: 1. The patient table is returned to its initial position. 2. The sending queues and filming queues are empty. If everything as described, choose shutdown to power off the system. The system will automatically complete the subsequent shutdown process. This is the end of our introduction. We hope this video will help you to understand the operations of Synovision CT products. Thanks for your time.